Good afternoon, Len, Greg. I I realized on my drive to the airport yesterday that I think there were a couple of questions that I should have answered with a little bit more explanation, just expanding on the thoughts. One of the questions were from Len, basically on the P&L side, and Greg, a little bit of your your questions about teaching and basically sharing information. And I thought, sometimes it's very difficult to articulate orally uh, financial technical processes, and it's very easy to put down in a resume. I can do X, Y, Z financial modeling, and it's another thing to actually show it. And I think sometimes the best approach, even during an interview, would be to just show it. And unfortunately, I was not able. I did not have the tools to do that. I did provide you with a package, a packet of financial reports that I've done, but again, it's basically at face value. You don't really see the effort that goes into it, or what technical knowledge, accounting or financial knowledge it takes to put these reports together, and these are solutions. What kind of problems we had before to generate that new solution. So I want to show you that. And basically, Len, just want to dive right into the P&L process. And I should have mentioned that I have been financially responsible for $300 million of P&L reporting in the combined in my group. My group was the Transportation Business Group, and this division spanned across the USA East, Canada, and Latin America. And I believe the GIS and the circuit break side of the business is about $150 million. So the volume that I'm used to is about $300 million in terms of month-end closing, financial reporting, and P&L responsibility. And basically, I put together the project financials. I do the journal entry, and the the office overhead rolls up to a web-based P&L statement for the office and region. This was a Halcro. Unfortunately, I do not have access, and I do not have a copy of the P&L as it was online. And again, the revenue forecasting, the office expenditures all roll up to the web-based office P&L, and I cannot show that to you. But what I do have is this is the journal entry that goes to the GL, and of course, the P&L of the jobs roll up to the office rolls up to the division, and then division rolls up to a company P&L. So it basically is essentially the same thing. But again, I was responsible for Latin America, sometimes reported in GBP or USD. This is the PDVSA job that we discussed, one of my highest contributors. And we have projects reported in USD. This is my earnings report for all of my jobs across the division. And typical metrics, your current month numbers, your cumulative, your forecast to completion, earnings calculation, if we have any type of accruals or anything like that, year to date, etc. And also the metrics, how are we doing? And we have that. I also have jobs reported in GBP, Canadian dollars, etc. So this report, during my month-end close, again, I was responsible for things in the US East, Canada, and Latin America. And some of my month-end process deliverables, as I was in charge of that business group, would be to get my WIP reports published, to finalize my earnings report, to make sure that I have KPI graphs prepared for the division, and things like that. So I could appreciate that. This process took some time, and I was basically in ownership of it. So for Latin America, for US East, and Canada. And again, that was about $300 million responsible. So I think I should have elaborated a little bit more on that for you, Len. Continuing with that, um, one of the questions, Len, was about solutions. You know, every company has a problem, or we can do things better, and this is where people like me would add value and in generating solutions. So one of the things that in my previous job in HNTB, the JPI input, JPI is a report needed from the project managers on a monthly basis before closing for me, the project analyst, to understand how the project is doing in terms of percentage complete, in terms of risks, or in terms of any other financial impact that we could have. And that information is only known to the project manager. So this input is key in closing the month. And PMs were in various locations. It was very difficult to get this report in. One of the reasons uh, the JPI report was difficult to get in was because it was in an Excel format. And project managers usually had to take all of their input, so everything in red is their input. Again, ETC, the project manager ETC, the confidence factor of how they're doing. Will they be able to finish with the allotted hours? Do we have a risk or any other comments? Are we going to be able to finish at the contractual date, or do we have an amendment? Do we need an amendment? But the project managers were not replying back to finance in a timely fashion, because they would have to take this file, download it into their desktop or somewhere, open it, do their inputs, save it, find that email again, and send it back to accounting. And it was we had a very bad response time, and sometimes we would be closing and final days of closing, and we had to track down the project managers for this. And again, project managers were spread across the US and other countries, and it was a very difficult task to do. My solution to that was to have the same reporting, dump that information into a database, and just open Outlook and send one comprehensive email to all the project managers. This is just a reply from Christina, but to all the project managers with the information that all they need to do in that particular Outlook email is type in their name. Well, it was a drop-down list to their names, and their projects would populate here in the same email. So all of their budgeted hours would populate. The PM would only need to make their input here, and all of this would be fed to a database that I created. And I coded this right onto the email. So their need was to hit reply, put their inputs, and it's completely done. And this turned into a 95% response rate within the first day of sending the email, meaning that accounting no longer had to wait for the project managers or get on the phone and get them to finalize this, because it was just much easier to do. The email was a much easier approach to do, and we saw response rates immediately increase. So again, we're not bogging down the PMs. They have technical work to do. This was a much better solution, and I had a much a greater response rate because of it. Another issue that we had was the reporting, and it was old reports and my new consolidated reports that I generated. And I can give you an example of what that looks like. When I joined the company, this is the sample project review packet. So there are mandatory project reviews every month for every project at HNTB. And the project reviews meetings entail the project manager, the division manager, sometimes a commercial manager, and the project analyst and director of finance. So there was a technical aspect to the meeting, and then there's a financial aspect to the meeting, and I was responsible, and the rest of my peers were responsible for the financial aspect of the meeting. So this was the basic, these are all the reports that were required for that meeting. There are about 6 or 7 different reports. And this is the sample report that I was giving when I was training at HNTB. As you can see, these are jobs in process by segment. You have, again, jobs in progress, in process by detail by segment, another version of that report. Lost earnings by segment. And as a project manager, this is not really telling me much. I may have to find a ruler to look at this information. It's not really summarized well. Look at the delinquent billings. If I'm a project manager and I have multiple projects, this is going to stem across many pages. Accounts receivable. Again, I'm going to have to find a ruler to go down through my information. It's not presentable. It doesn't look good at all, and it creates a mess for the project managers. And this is what I was trained. This is what HNTB was doing before I got there. Now, my solution to that was something like this. It's much simpler. It's about 3 pages long, so we're saving the environment. We have indicators here that tells me the exact same information that I want to know right away in terms of burn rate and things like that. We have the earnings summary by segment. All of the same information that we see here. For example, the same information, the lost earnings, the jobs in process, and there are other reports that are missing from here, but basically in a clear, precise way, we have it here. It's about 2-3 pages. Here's my accounts receivable. Here's my delinquent billings. Everything is very nicely put together. And this is a weekly budgets and cost report. Some of the project managers like to see this, like to see their numbers on a weekly basis. So I was able to run preliminary numbers for them and provide that solution to them. Again, from this to something a little bit more manageable for the project managers and division managers. Now, that there was really a lot of thought put into that, and there was a huge learning curve to incur, because before I came around, the way you ran these reports were through tons of steps. So every one of these are different reports that were run, and every one of that, what I did was I annotated the steps, step by step, the approach, the process, and some processes were 31 pages. Some processes were 45 pages, and these usually, to get all of these reports usually was like 35 minutes or so on a good day when the mainframe was fast and you did not have to queue up for a long time. So basically what we have to do is go into the SQL database and queue up reports, and it's just, I'm not going to bore you with the process, but as you can see, it's very lengthy to run one report. So my solution to that was to wait, and I was able to minimize all of these reports into one process that is about 28 pages. So my approach was that my project analysts, my peers, 6 of us, we at the beginning we were running reports, 6 or 7 reports per job, and we have 256 jobs for each project review meeting every month, for monthly project review meetings. So that 35 minutes times all the projects that we had to deliver financial information was about 3.7 weeks of just running reports. Very inefficient. 85% of our time was basically running reports, and 50% of the rest of the time was doing actual analysis on the numbers. And I find that instead of data mining and figuring out how to run reports and waiting for the queues and waiting for the SQL database to send you back a report, it's better that we spend the time actually looking at the numbers, interpreting the numbers, and figuring out what have we done, what are we doing, and what can we do to improve our numbers. And again, after month end close, the numbers do not change. So the numbers are the same throughout the entire month. There's no need to rerun reports in the middle of the month if it's the same thing. So my approach was to basically change all of that and show you here. Change all of that, and instead of running all these reports time and time again during the month per job, I just run the reports. We still have the same 6 or 7 reports once we close the month for the entire company, entire divisions. Again, JPI by job, JPI by segment. And I took everyone's, all the project analyst jobs, all the project managers jobs, all the jobs in the company, and I was able to consolidate it, excuse me, and run the reports once. So it would take me 45 minutes, 50 minutes after month end closing, but now I have all of my figures for all of the jobs of all the project analysts, all the project managers, all the job numbers for the entire month. And again, the information is very complete here. Is you have visual indicators here, whether your contracts are expiring or you're burning through your cash quickly or through your budget. All the required information by my division managers are here. They wanted to see net revenue percentage complete, job to date gross revenue, and all of these come from different reports. They're all nicely consolidated into 1 or 2 simple pages. Earnings summary, it looks beautiful here. You understand what's not earning, if you have any erosion or things like that. If we have any variances, why do we have a variance? We can explain that right away. Delinquent billings, if we're not billing something, why there's a stagnation there. Accounts receivable, where my invoices are. We can sort through this if you want to see it by day, by aging, by particular job number, by project manager if you like to see it by job, or project analyst. It's very scalable. It was the same. It took me the same amount of effort to arrange 22 of my projects or 102 of everyone else's projects. Very scalable. It did not take me any extra effort because all the coding, as you can see, all the formulas are already there. I can call up anyone and it would just work. These are pivot tables that are arranged. The way that I did that, all of these reports had different inputs in terms of headings. Some of them are job numbers. Some of them start with a division, or a job later on, or a segment. Earnings report starts with a job number, but the earnings by segment starts with a job and phase segment. So I had to figure out a way to connect all of these reports, and what I call is an alpha. And this alpha key connects all of the earnings reports, all of the different JIP by segment, and my key reference here, all of these, and I create one simple spreadsheet, one simple front sheet here at the very beginning that I can see the numbers. That's it. It's that simple. I mean, the as you can see, the functions could be quite complex, but the point is that we want a simplified solution for my project managers, and I was able to deliver that, and I think that was great. Their response was great. Again, here at the task level, this is a weekly budgets and costs. Some project managers wanted to see something in the middle of the month, or just a little more updated information. So I was able to download a preliminary earnings report and put it in this format to show the project manager whatever they have, a contingency, task type, expense, labor, subcontractor. I was able to break it down by task. So my W breakdown structure would go all the way down to a task level. And that was not happening actually.
HNTB system did not allow reporting at this level. Example, the gross margin percentage or the earnings ratio would not be calculated at the task level. And I am able to do that because I can calculate this information within my pivot tables. So I was able to provide that to project managers, and they love that. They see here graphically if their budgets are spent, if they're getting near spent, or if they're okay. So again, this is all information that I received from them, input what they wanted to see. They wanted to see budgeted fee, job to date expense, loaded cost remaining. They wanted to see all this information, and I was able to deliver for them and put this in a comprehensive way. Again, scalable. I can look at any job within the division at any time and have real-time information instead of taking about 35 minutes to run 6 or 7 reports to tell me that information, and I have to cross-reference each and every one of them. Actually, I have a summary sheet also in terms of the office. So this is my input to the office reporting, basically a project review dates and annotations as to how the project is doing. Again, almost real time. No need to rerun reports every time a project manager or a division manager comes up to me and says, "Hey, where is this project? What are we doing?" We have the financials. Um, I appreciate that maybe with SAP, things are a bit quicker and different, but unfortunately, my other company did not have that system. And I think so. Finally, I think on the leadership side, I just wanted to share with you. I think John brought up some questions about leadership and what a leader entails, and I can tell you that I've been a professional trainer. I worked in Trinidad and Tobago. Um, I've been a professor. I've done Spanish news interviews on the economy, and I've done charity work. And some of that, you know, like they say, pictures or it didn't happen. I just wanted to share that with you. So this is me teaching at the university level to my students, accounting, and I had a really good time with the students, and I think it was a valuable experience for me as well. This is at HNTB, and I'm facilitating training for the new Microsoft AX um, accounting system. So I was deployed across the U.S. to set a panel of individuals and train them on the new accounting system, as you can see there. So that was a bit fun as well, and I like to share what I know. I like to share my experience and provide um, just collaborative work with my peers. So again, that was at HNTB doing training across the United States. I've also provide workshops for high school kids and college kids, just business workshops, how to handle the business world, if you will, when they leave college. Sometimes they're not very well prepared to get their first jobs and things like that. Also, college finance. Sometimes I go to colleges and help out or give presentations on just college finance. This is a Colombian news reporter. He reached out to me to provide some input on the economy and things like that. And this is a Dominican news agency as well. They reached out to me to ask me questions about the economy, the local economy as well. A good leader also volunteers. This is volunteering in Thanksgiving, and this is in the Caribbean. Um, my family and we sponsor a charity for orphanage. These young kids have been in turbulent homes, broken homes. They have a history, perhaps sexually abused or other things like that, and we provide a safe home for them to live, to be raised safely, and we have social workers that help them and counsel them, and we just try to make the community a better community, a safer community for them, and provide a smile to their faces. So this is something I do on the side as well, just giving back to the community. I think that's it's very very important. So, Greg and Len, finally, I hope this video helps you understand a little bit of my skills, and you may find that my capabilities align with your project controller needs. And I thank you for your time and opportunity to interview. Sorry, this video is longer than I expected, but in selecting the right candidate, it's better to measure twice and cut once. So I really appreciate your time. Thank you, and you have a good evening.